Hello there, George here with Jungle Disc. Sincerely sorry about the technical difficulties that we were having. I appreciate those of you being able to hang in there. Now, I know that we had this scheduled for an hour, so we're definitely going to make sure that we only take 30 minutes to make sure that we are mindful of your all's time. So we know what we did on our end, know how to prevent that from happening going forward. So again, our sincerest apologies and appreciate you sticking around, being there, hanging tight with us. All right, so just real quick, this is our first webinar ever, so that's, I guess, where the hiccups came from, right? And, welcome. This is going to be the first of many. We have a whole series that we want to start doing, to get in touch with customers like yourselves, either new or existing customers, to be able to share best practices, share, new ideas, the stuff that we're coming out with, things of that nature. Right, so for those of you that are new to Jungle Disc, don't have Jungle Disc with us, just real quick, a recap on what we do. We're a data security company. So we will help store your information offsite and encrypt that data and have it backed up into the cloud. So that way you have your safe second copy in the cloud, to help protect against ransomware, malware, and things of that nature. Now, we used to be a part of Rackspace, for those of you that didn't know that. And back in January of 2016, we divested and we went solo again. Now in that, our leadership team felt that, we wanted to do more, because in 2016, we started noticing things, seeing a lot of ransomware attacks. A lot of new customers were coming to us, a lot of existing customers were coming to us. And for the new ones, we tried our best to help out, but they were already victims of ransomware, so we were helping them protect them, move forward. So our leadership was like, we want to make sure that we do stuff to be able to help prevent that from happening. So we launched our network threat protection piece. We'll have a whole different webinar on that for those of you that are interested in it. And the next piece after that was something that we were noticing a lot, people backing up PSTs, people that were asking for email archiving. So Jungle Disc email archiving then launched a couple months ago, or 6 months ago, more or less, maybe longer. But so we do have the email archiving piece. Not going to go too much into that because that's actually part of today's webinar. After that, we decided that, in order to offer that email archiving piece, it only made sense to start offering an email platform. Right, so we went with the two big companies out there, so Office 365 and Google G Suite. So we offer those as well. So if you currently have one of those platforms or don't, you could definitely either move it to us, or we can help you get set up on that so you can get that professional email. So today's webinar, that's just a quick recap. Again, we do have a chat. I have my colleague Beth here in the room. She's monitoring the chat to go ahead and stop me for questions if anything does come up. If not, I'll just proceed. So feel free to stop if needed. So today I wanted to go over Google G Suite and our email archiving solution. Okay, so before jumping into that, I wanted to talk about a little bit what's included in email, right? So we do have a lot of stuff in our email, right? So you went with Jungle Disc backups for those of you that are current customers. And to protect your files and your computers and things like that. We also have that email archiving solution piece to where we can help archive your emails. That way you're not backing up those PSTs and then storing that into the cloud, because it's kind of a hassle to, pull those PSTs down and then restore them onto, either Outlook or MacMail, depending on how you did that export. So these are a lot of the things that we see in email, right? You have different types of documents, trade businesses, budgets, contracts, presentations, marketing materials, finance, all that good stuff, right? And you want to make sure that that's all backed up, so hence why we came out with the email archiving solution, because that's part of that suite of services that our leadership feels that, is a good solution for our small, medium businesses that we're helping out, right? So there's so much stuff that's in that email. You definitely want to make sure that you don't lose it, because somebody can go in and just, delete everything An ex-employee can, wipe all the data, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. So what's the difference between backup and archiving? So the backups is more the Jungle Disk piece, as far as the software that many of you are using or considering using. This is in the event, you can restore files that are damaged beyond repair, such as being a victim of ransomware or malware, things like that. It's a safeguard for data that is actively used. And the big difference there, as you can see, is it is a copy of the data, right? And it's secure second copy on the back end. Archiving is a collection of emails specifically, okay? And this is more of the long-term retention, future access, and the big difference here is original emails and attachments using warm technology. So those of you that may have heard that term, great. If not, warm technology stands for write once, read many. And that's huge in certain industries, right? We want to make sure, because with PSTs, when you export that data and back that up, that can be altered, right? So that's not always something that is end all, okay? So we have some companies that need that warm technology, and the Jungle Disk email archiving tailors, a lot to that. And we help with retention and things like that. So some of the reasons why you would want to archive your mail data: data preservation, e-discovery, compliance. Talked about that a bit. That's huge in certain industries. Data backed up for employee-generated information, retention, employee continuity, and data mining. Okay, so the value of archiving. This kind of helps protect your business, and again, I promise I'm going to show you the tool on how it looks and how easy it is to integrate into your Google G Suite on this webinar. And again, we'll have many more later on other products. So it helps protect your business, preservation and ease of access, both for active and former employees, and that's huge, especially with the Google G Suite platform. And I'll talk about that more in a bit. Compliance, excuse me. Some companies must have email archiving, right? And this can definitely help there. Cost savings, readiness plan. You can search without your IT, lower risk of lost IP. So a lot of our customers that I've heard that help us make this strategic move in offering email archiving, a lot of them were backing up those PSTs. They don't know how to do it, PST exports. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, right? And then having to store that on a Jungle Disk, backing it up to the cloud, getting that email archiving, that data cost that you're paying for those storages, things like that. So, this kind of helps alleviate having to restore that and then importing that PST. And then again, a PST can get corrupt, right? So this helps prevent against that. All right, so the Google Vault. So those of you that are in the Google G Suite platform, there's two different plans, right? The first one is a $5 plan, which is, I think they're calling it Google Basic now. And I say now because they have gone through a couple name changes. So we have the Google Basic, and then we have the Google Business, and that's the unlimited, right? So the key differences on the two plans: the $5 plan, you get 30 gigs of data per mailbox, and that's between drive space and mail space. And then you have the $10 plan that gives you unlimited storage, and you also get something that's called Google Vault. Okay, here are some of the stated benefits of Google Vault. All right, so you get an archive for your Google Gmail and Google Chats only. Nothing else is archived, right? So attachments and things like that. Manage, retain, search, export. This is something that you can do with the Google Vault. Legal holds. You can actually put holds on certain pieces of mail or searches. Protection against lawsuits, easy to export to a standard format, and I'm going to talk about that in a bit. Audit reports, and you can see all your searches, manage views, exports, and so much more. Right? Now, some of the things about the Google Vault on why you would use email archiving versus Google Vault, right? So it does not support regulations that require data immutability. Pay to access archived content from inactive accounts. So this is huge, right? So one of the disadvantages of having Google G Suite is when you delete a user with the $10 plan, not only does that user go away to where you're no longer paying for it, their entire Google Vault disappears as well. So all those emails, all those chats and everything are gone, right? So with Jungle Disk archiving, you can implement that into your current Google G Suite, and then everything's backed up. Then in the event you have an employee that's no longer with the company, you can delete that user. And when you delete a user on Google G Suite, for those of you that are familiar, you can then move their drive data to somebody else. So you got that drive data taken care of. But as far as the email stuff, that is not taken care of. So we offer this service to where you can delete that user and everything's still in the Jungle Disk archive, right? And it's going to stay there for as long as the retention period that you set. The good thing is you can set it for as long as you want. You can leave it there for an unlimited amount of time, and you have unlimited storage as well. Okay. Deleted items. The next bullet point. Deleted items only accessible for 30 days, right? So those of you that are familiar with the Google G Suite, you delete a message, it stays in that user's trash folder for X amount of days. And I say X amount because the standard is 30, but you can lower that if you wanted to help kind of clean up mailboxes. But the standard is 30 days. So after that, if you need to find one of those messages, you're out of luck. Messages from deleted accounts cannot be restored. That's another thing. I personally, I didn't mention this at the beginning. I'm a Google certified deployment specialist. So I've seen it in the past where some customers have deleted users and then realized that they needed something from that user's mailbox and they're out of luck, right? So Jungle Disk archiving can kind of help with that. Limited and complicated export, and I can attest to this because I've helped customers with this before. Export is limited to zip files containing mbox files, right? So an mbox file can only be pretty much restored through, I think it's MacMail, if I'm not mistaken. Exported emails can only be viewed via text editor applications and do not include attachments. So that's the other thing. All the export that you do of a user's from the Google Vault, no attachments are there at all. Now the value of having Jungle Disk archiving, you can definitely see everything on the email, see the timestamps, and you can see all the attachments as well. So it's huge. It's huge. All right. So I am sorry for that little glitch. I was switching screens on my end. So just to kind of show you real quick, for those of you that don't have it, here's what a Google G Suite admin console looks like, right? And this is where you can do everything. This is where you can add users, you can check the reports, add domains, add groups, so on and so forth. So this is where you would go to add the setup steps for the Jungle Disk archiving. And I'll show you that next, which is right here. All right, so let me refresh my screen because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to relog into this. 1 second. All right. Here we go. Okay, so this is the Jungle Disk archive. Okay, so really useful to set up with your current Google G Suite account. And again, we're resellers of Google G Suite now, so you can, if you have an existing account, you can bring that over to us, and then you can get our support on top of that, right? But if you want to keep Google where you're at, if you're going to get the archiving, I would suggest moving your account over just so you have everything under one bill. You can have your backups, your archiving, your Google G Suite, everything on one bill, and the same people to support it all, right? So real easy on my screen here, you would click on the settings gear, and I have a video on how to do this. Collectors, you click on manage there. Email, click manage there, and we're going to click on SMTP, and then it gives you an address. This address you would then input into your Google G Suite account under the email settings, and it pretty much just creates a journaling rule to where anything incoming and outgoing for the entire domain will get sent to this archive, which then you can do searches, you can do exports, you can put legal holds if needed, things like that. And I'm going to get into that a little bit more. So let me click back on the main page. All right. No questions yet, Beth? All right. So first thing I'll go through here is the searches screen. So it's real easy. You just hit this button that says create search. You can search by different keywords, and you can add criteria as well. So you can do several different things from the keywords versus the keywords. So from here you can select from, to, date, so on and so forth. So you can do multiple things to search for all of them, or you can just do one. So I'm going to do anything that's from my colleague Wes at jungledisc.com. Let's see if anything comes up with that. Again, this is a test account, so there we go. So I have 13 emails, and this is from when it was turned on. Again, it's a test account, so it only shows 13 emails. But when I searched for anything that was from Wes at jungledisc.com, I get 13 messages. Okay, so in here, this is where you can click on the message or click open on the message, and then you can see all the information about it, what was the email, so on and so forth. Here I can put holds on this data. I currently have a hold, and you can save the search. All right, so this will show you again a list of all the emails. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, to a certain person, from a certain person. There's an advanced search to where you can do multiple and or Boolean operator functions. So I'm going to just save this search for now. So if you notice, I didn't really give it a name or a date range. So I'm just going to call this from Wes and hit save. Now what's cool about this is in the event, I'm going to go back to searches real quick. In the event, I've had it to where some customers that have this feature, our archiving solution in place already, they're for whatever reason, they have a need to come into the email archive and check the emails for certain users on certain days or daily. All right. So from here, that search is already saved, and I didn't set a specific date range. So from here, if it's from Wes, let's say I come into this archiving solution again tomorrow, and he sent 3 more emails. All I'd have to do is from here, it shows results 13 here on the right hand side. But if I hit run again on that second day and he sent 3 more, it'll show the 16 messages now, so on and so forth. And it just keeps building and building and building on it. Okay, so that's really cool. So if I create a new search up here on the top right, again, this is the simple search. I can click on advanced search up on the top right, and I can add criteria or a group, right? So let's add criteria. I'm gonna look for anything for a keyword that is in the subject body. You can uncheck or check as many things as you want, and it's gonna be confidential. So anything, I'm gonna apply that. Anything that has the word confidential in any of this, and then I'm going to add a criteria, and let's say it's from, and is from to CC'd or BCC'd, from Wes, jungledisc.com. I'm going to apply that, so on and so forth. So you can kind of see how granular you can get with the advanced search. So you can, here in this example, it's going to search for anything that has the word confidential in any of those things, which is the subject, body, attachment, title, or the attachment body is, if it has that word confidential, and is also either from or to Wes at jungledisc.com, and then I can hit search. I'm not sure if I'll get anything on the search, but just to kind of show you, well, got 130 emails there. So, there's several emails in here that have Wes in that to or from field, so that's why there's more than those 13 that we saw earlier. So again, this is just another example of how granular you can get on the searches. Exports. All right, so I got to do an export first. Here in the search, let me do the search for Wes. Here's that button that has the export. I'm going to select all his messages, the ones that I want to have exported. Click export here. I can choose on how I want this to be exported, and I'll do PST for now. Export. And the request was successfully sent. So then over here under exports on the left, it shows status pending. So depending on how big this search is, this one should be done fairly quickly because it's only 13 emails. But depending on how large the search is, it can take some time for that to get pulled down. But then again, as soon as it's done, you would click it, and then it downloads that PST file that you had. So it's real easy to do that export from here. And again, in the event that you need it. Now, some of the examples that I've seen on why people use this is, for litigation purposes and things of that nature. So one of the things I've seen some of our customers do is they'll create a user here on the left-hand side, and they'll give that user access to certain searches in the archive. Right, so that way they can give that to the attorney or whoever they need, and then from there, that user logs in to the same URL, but they won't see all this information that I see here or that we see here in this webinar right now. They'll only see searches and then the list of searches that you gave them access to. So that's huge. That's super helpful, so that you don't even need to do this export. You can just, give them the search so that way they can go through whatever they need to go through. Holds. Holds are, various reasons why you would want to have a hold on certain data. And again, here I put a hold on some stuff. So as a test, I have active litigation. There's 746 emails there. Hold in place, that's just a standard title as far as why you want to have a hold. You can have this here, and I have 58 messages there. So backtrack, what is a hold? A hold is essentially anything that will keep mail past a retention period. So let's say, for example, I have a retention period in my email archive set for 1 year. Anything after a year, as soon as it hits that day 366, it's purged from the archive. Why? Maybe you just don't need it, right? But again, you do have unlimited storage that you can have for email archiving. I'll say it again, unlimited, and it's huge because we don't charge you for the data that's in here, right? You just pay the per user cost for the email archive solution, and you have unlimited storage, so why not use it, right? But again, some people don't need data after a certain amount of time. So going back to the hold. So for the hold, when you have that retention period set for a year, let's say it's coming up to a year, you're on 11 and a half months, but there's some information that's about to get purged that you need, you would just highlight those emails and then click that button that says hold. So here under the searches, I'm just going to come back to this, run it. I could select the messages that I want. I'm just going to select all of these and click hold. And then you give it the reason. I'll just give it active litigation for now and hit add. Done. So what this does is, since these emails in this example are coming up on the 12 months, as soon as it goes past the 12 months, these emails will still be there because I have this hold in place. Okay, so just letting you know that this is something that you can actually take advantage of, But again, this is only if you have that retention period, and, or if you want to just have it, and that way it's easier for you to find. But I would go on the searches versus having to count on the holds. But it is there available to you. Users is essentially just that. This is a list of all the users that have access to the admin console, right? And you have different roles. So you can have different, I'll select Beth here, who is actually my colleague. So here you have administrator, compliance officer, search administrator, so on and so forth, as far as what kind of roles you want them to have. So let's click on edit for Beth, just so we can see here. When I clicked on Beth, here are the roles that I can. The other one was a quick way to give them access to whatever you need. When you're first getting acclimated into this Jungle Disk archive, you may not know what each role entails. So here's a list of all the stuff that comes with each one of those roles. And you can assign many or just one, right? So Beth has end user access, and she's also a reviewer. So the end user access, this is good for, if you want employees to have access to their own archive. Now, they can't delete anything. Nothing can get deleted from here unless you have that purge set up after for a retention period, right? So one of the, well, not one, but a couple of the companies that we have that have, the archiving already in place and they have it implemented within their organization, they gave end user access to all their team, right? So that case, what the users do is they can come into the same URL, and from there they can then log in with their credentials that you set up here, and then they'll only see their stuff. They can't do searches, they can't do anything like that. They'll just see their emails that they have archived. And that's huge because, in some of the instances I've seen, a lot of the customers, the reason they do that is because they say, oh, my colleague here, Beth, she's saying that she never got this email from, customer Tim, right? So maybe she accidentally deleted it, maybe she didn't. She can then go personally into her archive, search to see if there's a Tim. And again, the search is limited to her mailbox alone. So she can then search for anything from that email address. If there's nothing in that archive, she never got anything from Tim. So this is a good way to validate yourself before going to the administrator here. And again, that's if you choose to do that. You don't have to do that. So that's it on the view section here. There's also an insight section. Now this is something we're playing with, and in here, this isn't updated right now, but this is a cool way to kind of get some insights into what's going on in your domain. We have an overview here, and then you can limit it down to as far as what are some of the things that are going on in your account. So for instance here, activity, domains. There's nothing in here again because this is a test account, but when I click on activity domains, this essentially gives me a list of some of the top domains that not just me, but my whole company interact with. So we can kind of see what is it that, or who is it that my team is communicating with, right? So that's huge. Sensitive info. This will give you things like, you can see here, it'll tell you how many emails have something that's tailored to a bank account number, credit card numbers, driver's licenses, passports, things like that, W-2s and everything, right? So this can kind of give you an idea as far as what are some of the emails going in and out of your domain, right? So again, this is huge to kind of see that, and you can even set up reporting. I have it set up to where I get a report from our account internally here, just because I was playing with it, and it sends me a report of how many emails based off that criteria that I'm looking for, right? So again, this is stuff that's huge, and you can do other things, data loss, fraud, prevention, things like that, as far as what are some of the things that are showing up in your email. So I'm coming up on the noon mark. Again, I'm sorry if this was a little bit rushed, but essentially, this is pretty much it, right? You have your Google G Suite account. If you do, make sure you bring that over to us. We match Google prices, right? So the 5 and 10 that you pay with Google, we charge 5 and 10 as well, right? So you get more support with, you get the Jungle Disk support on top of what you're already used to, So to me, it makes more sense, especially if you're already doing business with us. Bring that over. You're already used to our support. You can call us, chat with us, things like that. We'll help you guys out. And then let us do that work for you, to where in the event that we do need to reach out to Google, we do that for you. You let us know what your issue is. We'll try our best to help you out. If it's something that we need to get in touch with Google with, we'll get in touch with Google and we'll update you. That way you guys get back to work and we're working for you with them on the back end. Because if those of you that have called Google for support, it's good support, but it does take some time. I, on average, take like 3 to 4 minutes just to get in touch with a human. And then we have that experience and we know what to ask for, when to ask for, what to look for in the account before we even get in touch with Google. So we have that expertise here. And then again, coupling that with the email archiving is huge, right? Again, for all the features that you've seen here, and know what this how powerful this email archiving tool can be for you and your company, right? So again, that's pretty much it on our end as far as these two products together. I don't think we have any questions, Beth. None lined up. Definitely shoot us an email, sales@jungledisc.com, if you want to make sure that we answer. That way we can answer any questions that do come up from now until later on. Again, thank you for your patience at the beginning of this webinar, for helping, for being patient with us, and still giving us the opportunity to help you out and show you some of the good things that Jungle Disc is doing. So yeah, feel free to reach out, sales@jungledisc.com. Again, my name is George. You can email me personally, george@jungledisc.com, to answer any questions that you may have. And thanks for attending, right? I think this is good, and we'd love to hear your feedback. Feel free to leave comments in the video below. This is going to be pushed out to YouTube for future use or views. And again, for those of you that are watching it after this is live, please make sure to leave comments below. Let us know how we're doing, things that we can help with, and we'll talk to you soon.